Good evening, everyone. This is your host, Jess, and Concord shut down. The entire studio that made it. Sony shut it down. And you know, I have a couple things to say about it. You may think that Sony is the one who shut down Concord, but it was me the whole time. 100% me. I am the one who was the puppet master pulling the strings from behind the veil the whole time. This was all a part of my plan. But you might be asking, why? Why spend 8 years developing a game called Concord with over millions of dollars put into it, only for it to flop terribly? And I never even had a chance to play it. I still actually don't have any idea what the game is even about. This is just hearsay that I hear online. But the point being is, I've had a plan this entire time. And so I sent off my minions to go and make Concord. And so for 8 years, I paid no attention to this project whatsoever, which was all a part of my master plan. Of course, I could have managed this project more, but I had something even better in mind. I did not expect Concord to have as negative a reaction. The drama YouTube community really had nothing else to talk about. And so Concord wasn't really doing so well, how may I say. And suddenly, the game that died, Concord. And then everyone started selling it on eBay as a rare title now. Like you'd actually want to play that game and not just ignore it. Well, I had to adapt my plan, obviously. With the case of the game not doing that well, I had to readjust my plan. In fact, it actually accelerated my plan, and it all fell right into my hands. All because some people really needed a YouTube video. How foolish they were to not understand the reckoning that was to come. But then again, who else would see it? My master plan would not come into fruition until finally the studio would be shut down. I walked into Sony's office. I had to keep my head down low so they would not be alerted to any of my, how may I say, possible giveaways to my quandaries. Sony said to me, "Well, your game did not return us the money that we thought it would. Do you have anything to say to yourself? You do realize that this would burn the bridge between you and Sony and that you would never be able to make a game under our umbrella again." With my head held low, I looked up at him and said, "I am so sorry, Sony. If only you can give me another chance. I promise the game will work." And Sony held up the hand and said, "Silence, heathen," and blasted me from the room, sending me out 50 stories to my doom. But that was all a part of the plan. You should have seen the smile I had on my face. It was massive. They gave me exactly what I wanted. I smiled, such a large smile, back up at the corporate building. They had no idea what my master plan was. Oh, it was so genius. Oh, and in that moment, I landed on the little bouncy castle I had set up before. Me in my suit that probably cost about $50 USD, and I walked away, never to be seen again for the moment. And while I let the crows pick at the corpse of Concord, I came back and said, "It's time to enact my master plan." And while my poor child had still crow in their ribs, I plucked the crow and said, "You owe me $5,000. And the crow said, "Yes. Yes, sir, I do owe you $5,000. I said to the crow, "Take him back to the lab. There is much that needs to be done, and much that there was to be done. With no one paying attention to Concord, I was free to make it whatever I liked, without the guise of any corporate monstrosity telling me what to do. Of course, I needed the funding at the start. That was my plan the entire time, receive the funding from Sony to create my creation, knowing that it would perish in the fires of the public eye. And now it is going to be whatever I want it to be. Are you a little bit intrigued as to what it could be? You might be wondering, what do I plan to do with Concord now that I have it essentially in its full form without any control from Sony, what would I even utilize it for? Sure, I have to bring a corpse back from the dead, but a magician never reveals his secrets, does he? Oh, I'm getting absolutely demolished. What is Glorious Evolution when you look back at it? You might think that it's some form of change. And while true, for there is a vision that I have. It is a grand vision of what Concord should truly be. Do you think I was trying to develop a game? No. This is something that goes beyond game, beyond a screen, beyond code. What you see is a dead game. What I see is something more glorious than anyone could ever know. There are certain things that will, how may I say, exist long beyond technology. In fact, I'll tell you a little preview about it. You might think that the video here in the background is just random gameplay that just happens to cover a video while I'm talking. Well, you are partially correct. In fact, it is a distraction, a guise, but also a clue. Let's just say a main element of this game shows what my plan for Concord is. I'll give you a couple of seconds to figure it out. Do you know what? I might even just go through the list of things. Is it a colorful cast of characters? No, of course not. How small-minded. Items, abilities, perks. No, these are greater than all those things combined. I think as we get closer, you start to realize what it is. Do you see at the bottom of my screen, do you see what this is? You might just think it's a simple way to interact with the game, but I think there might be an element that might be missing for some people. Let's just say this is all a part of the plan. What are the main mechanics of Teamfight Tactics? It is an auto battler where you can choose the position of your characters in order to win victory. That being said, none of those are particularly what I'm looking at. What it actually is something far grander. What is the main mechanic that drives these forces? What allows you to get these characters? The currency. You get a little bit of currency, and in exchange, you're able to gamble for what you would like to have. I think you're realizing of what Concord's true potential is. Something beyond any frivolous gotcha game, microtransaction system. Concord is going to become a full-blown casino in Vegas. Oh, I can see it now. Glorious it will be. Halls ripe with slots. Tables filled with blackjack. Roulette spinners adorning every room. It'll be glorious. And I'll say this. You can either join me in Concord's Ascension, or you can get out of the way. There will be nothing that stops Concord's Ascension into gambling heaven. Or, I wouldn't say heaven. Heaven's a little too idealistic for something so great as this. Heaven implies that there's a greater place outside of the real world, but the real world will be brought to greatness. It shall be named League of Legends. But if you do try to get in my way, you will be squashed and annihilated like all the bugs. You see, while Concord was brought to its grave, it also learned. It learned how to survive and crawl. Concord never died. It was learning, adapting. Anyone who tries to bring it down now will meet the same fate that they put upon it. And it will be glorious. Not just glorious, beautiful. Now, I await you all at Concord Casino. As Concord begins its ascension, I would bid you all good luck. But that implies that I aim for you to win. I love gambling.